In the 21st century, we are past. We're actually in our fourth industrial revolution. For the industrial revolution, we are speaking about AI, robotics, health. Right now, we are past what we used to actually be termed as conversation. There was a time the discovery of coal used to be interesting. Now, the discovery of new information, smaller chips, is what excites the masses. On the conversation of cancel culture is us as masses taking on the idea to actually cancel, reject, limit, or totally disregard any information, any product, any individual that we deem irrelevant to the cause that we have in mind. Coming back to the motion, the House opposing. Why is it important that we oppose? Number one, in understanding the psychology behind cancel culture. Cancel culture is the masses, we the people, deciding that whatever you as an individual, what you as an entity, what you as a company said, goes against what we, the larger population, hold dear or hold true to our hearts. When you do that, we might take the accountability into our hearts and say that is wrong, and we decide to actually reject, disregard, and cancel everything that you say. Why do we have to actually propose this? Number one, this gives us, limits our understanding of the situation. Us deciding to actually take on cancel culture is number one, curtailing the freedom of speech. Is us saying that you, even though whatever it is you're saying is wrong, or whatever it is you're saying goes against our standing and our ethics as people, it is still wrong. We are taking the power from them, the power to actually acknowledge and the power to actually make decisions as individuals. Importantly, we have to understand, number one, platform, social media platform. Right now, in the fourth industrial revolution, in the 21st century, we are an interconnected village. Everyone from America to the end of South Africa, in the insides of the Sahara Desert, has access to the internet. The internet and such platforms as an area has brought us all together. And number one, when we are bringing about the issue of curtailing and pointing our fingers at these very specific social media accounts and telling them that you should curtail information, we should remember that we are 8 billion population. How do you expect one company to actually work to sensitize and to go through every post that half of them, 4 billion people, decide to do? I would love to end my introduction there and would love to introduce my team to continue with that. Thank you.
So the internet is becoming the global square, the square of the global village. These are the ones by the billionaire Bill Gates. Most of you know him, by the way. So today panel, I'm here to strongly oppose the motion that goes this way. This House opposes the rise of a cancel culture in holding social media companies liable for misinformation on their platforms. Our opponents, who are the only companies from the CBD, have shed a little light, a dim light on the motion. That is very unfortunate, and I'm here to cancel it. So, up to this point, I just want to shed some light by demystifying the main terms of this topic. And I'll start by oppose. To oppose is to strongly disagree or disapprove. A rise is an increase in. Cancel culture means the mass withdrawal of support from public figures because they have done something that is deemed unacceptable in the society. Liable refers to responsible by law, legally answerable. Misinformation means false, inaccurate information, especially that which is deliberately intended to deceive. Social media simply means the interactive technologies in the world. Social media companies, I'll give an example of a few: Facebook, X, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Up to that point, I hope you're all conversant with this topic. So, me with my team, we are here to actually advocate for the rise in the cancel culture. The cancel culture is existing in the status quo. Right now, somebody can post something which amuses you and you cancel them off. But for us here, we are actually spreading the gospel. We are supposed to cancel them more. My fellow colleague from the CBD didn't say anything. So up to this point, I was saying the cancel culture is there. That one we agree, but it's minimal. So we are agreeing with the House that we are actually supposed to take it to another level, to strongly support this, that it's supposed to be taken to a higher bar. And from there, I'll start with my first point, which comes from a source, a book I was reading this week. It is called Tweets and the Streets by Paulo Gabudo 2012. And it goes this way. It goes this way. Impact on democratic processes. Right now in our country, we are experiencing a revolution which is being championed by the Gen Zs. And I was asking myself a question. If the president happened to be in this audience today, to hear we debating whether we should propel this motion of cancellation or oppose it, he would actually have seconded my points. Because if today the president is sleeping in his house and the hashtag is trending on X with Ruto must go, that is very wrong for a public figure of such. And in as such, it is causing harm to the democratic processes because the president was elected by the people and declared and sworn in is the impact on the democratic processes. And this council culture being minimal, it is doing nothing. If we take it to a higher level, the president will be having power to, if you post Ruto must go, you break the law. Because liable means legal consequences. My second point is on accountability and responsibility. The House, I want you to agree with me that these social media companies are very accountable and responsible for all the content. An example of X. X is being led by a billionaire called Elon Musk. This guy is the richest man in the world. Why can't he regulate the content on his platform? That is as easy as snatching a laptop from a baby. My third and last point is trust in the media. Right now, we are having Mr. Dean here. Mr. Dean won't have time to go on Facebook to look for rumors. In fact, for a man of decorum like him, I can advise that you use Quora, question or answer platforms, which can directly answer the question, the question which he is looking for, other than going to spend his whole precious time on Facebook, other than attending to serious matters in MKU. Thank you so much, the House.
In the past, when we only had a few media houses, the information that was passed was from very few sources. And now with social media and now that it's open, anyone can post anything. Saying that we should amplify that, I feel that it jeopardizes the society when anyone with any kind of information just pops up and writes anything. It's more of a danger to society. So like the first point is social media. The social media houses are supposed to censor the information that is put in social media. So for the first one is, for example, misinformation in things like health, like during COVID-19, allowing the cancellation in social media platforms may lead to misinformation and people may get the wrong information about their health and all that, and which may lead to many fatal deaths. And on the point on saying that the people who are putting information there are like the dean here, that's a lie because everyone is putting information. So we need to censor any kind of information that is put, and that should be placed on the social media houses. It was done with the big media houses, and Twitter and all these other social media platforms can also come up with ways to make sure that whatever is passed on their platforms is reliable.
My name is Nancy, and just for clarity, I am here to oppose the motion that has been stated countless times. So, my time starts now. I have a lot of responsibilities on this stage, But the three that I'm gonna focus on is one, to take outside proposition, the only university in Kenya that is in the CBD. The second point is to thank the proposition dearly for supporting us. And the third point is to tell all of you why we win today's debate. Now, let's start. A few things we need to clarify. All of us agree on a few things in today's debate. That one, misinformation already exists on these social media platforms. Number two, these social media companies should be held liable for this misinformation. But the question is cancel culture the right way to hold them accountable? And not only cancel culture, is the rise of cancel culture effective in holding them accountable? That is something that was not engaged by side proposition, and that is what I am gonna engage. Even before I go to our point, I am still gonna engage them in their best case scenario. They tell us that this limits our understanding of these social media companies. Panel, the smell of victory is not perfume, but it is in the sweet aroma of success. Are we inhaling this sweet aroma? No, we are not. Why are we not inhaling this sweet aroma? Because these social media companies are the big fish. They've decided that they're not going to regulate misinformation on their platform. And why is it so? One, these social media companies are moneyed. My friend told you about Elon Musk, a billionaire. Minimal cancel culture is not going to work on a billionaire who has following, massive following, and who is very, very powerful. Now, I tell you why, panel. Even if they are talking about we need to understand them, panel, we don't need to understand them. We need to hold them accountable. Even if it's walking up to their doors, knocking down their windows, so that our social media platforms are safe, so that the main purpose as to why these social media platforms exist, to make the world a small village, so that this small village is peaceful, so that this small village is inclusive. And that is not going to happen if cancel culture doesn't rise. So cancel culture is rising, and it is for us to rise. The second point, they tell us that we need to censor this. I will not engage that, because all of us agree that misinformation exists, and it needs to be, these companies need to be held liable. Now, on to our first point, we talk about accountability and social justices. Panel, it is time, it is enough. We've had enough of these big fishes dominating us everywhere. I give you a simple example, the protest. When we were talking about the finance bill, cancel culture was minimal. People kept talking online, oh, Ruto do this, do that. Did Ruto do anything? Until the rise of cancel culture, at the point in time where people want to ban parliament, at the point in time where people want to ban these offices, is when these big fishes are going to listen. And by whatever means, these social media companies need to make our social media platforms safe, inclusive, and free of misinformation. And that's how we're going to get there, is by the rise of this cancel culture. Now, what do we stand to gain? What we stand to gain is accountability and social justice. In as much as these people are powerful, they need to be accountable. There needs to be justice for the people that feel not included in these social media platforms. Again, back to the main reason why they are there is to make the world a global village, is to make people feel comfortable, is to make everyone feel inclusive, regardless. What else do we stand to gain? We stand to gain empowerment of marginalized voices. Like I've said, we've had enough of these big fishes treating us like we do not matter. Enough of Elon Musk thinking because I am a billionaire, people can say whatever they want on Twitter. No, they cannot say whatever they want on Twitter, because that is not the reason why we have social media companies. Another thing we stand to gain, 47 seconds. I rest my case.
Social media companies profit from the user-generated content and have the duty to ensure that their platforms are not used to spread harmful misinformation. Sometimes misinformation may be out there. Maybe, let's say, for example, as someone, maybe like the content creator that you all know, like Aziad, has killed someone, yeah? And it will start as misinformation, maybe. And then it will, maybe he has killed someone, and that someone who is being stated to be killed has died. For example, now this DCI will go and take Aziad accountable, maybe. That social media people and companies should be liable for the protection of someone like her.
Caleb Mosombo Mweri from Mount Kenya University, and my time begins now. Now, to the panel, if you grant me latitude, I'll first start by characterizing the submissions that have been made by our respondents. And to engage their best case scenario, allow me to reread the motion. Perhaps maybe they could catch a glimpse of what they have been missing in this motion. The motion clearly states, and it is rather elaborate. It states that this House opposes the rise of cancel culture in holding social media companies liable for misinformation on their platform. To the panel, I want to restore the sanctity to this House that has been stolen and saying this. You will agree with me that this motion, to be honestly, it has been misconceptualized from their side. But I'm not here to show you how they have misconceptualized it. Now, what they're trying to do to the panel, they are trying to invite us to break an egg to check if the yolk is still intact. And we both know that in that case, we are going to kill the egg completely. And I dare say that they are submitting from a point of volenti and injuria. A law student will tell you that they are submitting from a point of their own pain. And I hereby want to show you how they are submitting from a point of their own pain. The first speaker stood on the podium, talked about limits of understanding. Number two, talked about fail to indicate this cancel culture and how we should cancel them. The second speaker came and talked about they don't focus on the rise of this cancel culture. Went ahead to give us a case scenario that they do not censor. To the panel, let it be taken into consideration that there is two things that we do accept from both the sides. Number one, there is presence with very evidential weight that indeed in this social platform we have misinformation. That is number one. Number two, we have been having the cancel culture since time immemorial. But the problem here is, the reason why we are having this motion today is to show you that the existence of this cancel culture at its bare minimal has proven not to work. That's why we are here to prove to you that we need a rise in it. And it is the rise that we are here to show you how it is going to help us to hold these social media companies reliable, Mr. Speaker. To the panel, let's be taken into consideration that no matter how the sun is bright, it cannot outlive its sunset. Now, I bring you very evidential way to show you that the time that the minimalistic cancel culture has existed has indeed come to an end. It is an era whereby we need to have a rise in this cancel culture. And I want to show you, from our side, we have had very eloquent speakers in their elocution. They have not failed to show you how this rising cancel culture is going, one, to be achieved. Two, what importance it's going to have on the daily uses. Because we have to agree that the essence of having these social media platforms is to make the world a global village. But how can we achieve this while having misinformation in their platforms? And they did accept that it is true we have this misinformation. Our work is to show you how we want the rise of this cancel culture, one. Number two, how the rise of this cancel culture is going to help us. It's going to help us to alleviate the misinformation. It is going to help us ensure that we are holding these companies liable because they are big players in the market. And the minimal cancel culture is not going to be of any help. That's why we need a rise in the same. And in the best case scenario, recently in our own country, if I take Kenya as a case study, we have been having the riots. It started as an online riot without having any fruits. But when we took it to the streets, it bears the fruit. That one is a clear example to show you that just the online sensation is not enough. We want the rise of this cancel culture so that it can have an effect and to its full effect. To the panel, we do midwifery. We have delivered the baby, and surely the baby is alive and kicking. So sad to the city of CBD, they are not going to invite you to kill the baby. Thank you very much, the panel. I've never been happy to host.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Committee, in the excitement of trying to disapprove and show whatever it is we're saying is wrong, themselves, our team that is so happy to oppose whatever we are saying has got it all wrong. A little bit of education, our fellow learning friends. There's a difference between cancel culture and there's a difference between digital activism. Whatever you've been pushing from the start with the Gen Z movement, with the strikes and with the council and finance bill, that is digital activism. It's amazing we've got an underlining explanation of whatever cancel culture is. In simple terms, us dumbing it down. Cancel culture is us not agreeing with the views and the statements made by an individual, an entity, a company. Simple terms. Digital activism is us using the internet and using these platforms and using our devices to actually, as a medium of social activism, as a medium of social advocacy, to highlight problems that is affecting us in our community. Whatever the Gen Z did, us did, for those of us that went out. That is digital activism. My time is running out, but the idea is do not be too excited to lay the baby. Kazi si kuzaa, kazi ni kulea. Thank you.
So my time starts in 3, 2, and 1. The bone of contention in today's debate is the rise of cancel culture, whether or not it is effective in holding these social media companies accountable. And just point of clarification, we did our research quite well. Maybe refer you to a book called The Tweet and the Streets by Paulo Gabudo, 2012. Maybe you'll get more insight that it's cancel culture and not digital activism. Nonetheless, what you get from their side is that this limits our understanding of these companies and the need to censor these companies. And what you get from our side is that this achieves accountability and social justice, empowerment of marginalized voices, and consequences for harmful behavior for these social media companies, and cultural change and awareness. That's all you get from our side. We have been so proud to be opposing. Good job, Side Prop. Maybe we'll meet some